Welcome back to another episode of Off the Bench. Of course, I'm DeMarcus. As you can see, my boy Ty is not with us today. He had to make a special trip out of town, handle something personal. Hope everything's good and safe with him. I know he did graduate here too, so congratulations, Ty, on that. But I got a special guest with me. This guy here, man, he is somebody that he definitely gets me going when it comes to these debates. So I said, what better person to have on in place of Ty is the one, I like to call him my nemesis when it comes to a sport debate, my boy Brian. What's up, Brian?
Thanks, DeMarcus. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. So how's your week been for you? And happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there too watching us on this special edition Father's Day. So you got any plans today after the podcast with the family?
Nice little cookout. Pretty pumped about it. Spent all morning cleaning off the black zone.
Okay.
Yeah, we're ready.
Getting ready? Okay. All right, man. So let's get right into it. We got quite a bit on the menu today on what we're going to talk about. So the first one I want to get into, because I want to kind of, today with you, we want to kind of ease you in. And then, as you can see on the topic I gave you, then we get into more of the meat and potatoes of what we want to talk about today. All right, so the first question I have for you, we're just talking about sports in general, okay? Are dynasties bad for sports?
Not at all. Not at all. They are, actually, they're the only thing we really care about.
Okay.
I mean, let's be honest, like, nobody wants to turn on the TV and watch two teams like the Hornets and the Magic play. Okay. Like, let's call it what it is, right? Okay. I mean,
I got a Magic fan that would say something different to you about that, man. I
mean, there's nothing wrong with being a local fan, loyal to a franchise that never wins. But at the end of the day, we want dynasties. We want to watch the Lakers. We want to watch the Celtics. We want to watch Golden State. Yeah. We want to watch Alabama, Georgia, USC, Ohio State. We want to watch all those guys play big games. And let's be honest, they make 30 for 30s about dynasties. They don't make them about the Orlando Magic unless they have a unique player like Shaquille. Yeah. And that's what that was really about. It wasn't about Orlando.
Yeah, it was more of a, behind the scenes, you look at Penny, at Shaq, at the run that they did make and what they could have been if they would have, stayed together, if Orlando wouldn't have dropped the ball and kept Shaq from going to LA, so I think, I agree with you 100%. I think, and this is one of the few times we do agree on something, but I do agree. Dynasties are good for sports because, for one, these teams that, that win, consistently, they keep the sport going, of course. And then also they give these other teams something to fight for and to look at, to try to strive to be.
And I'll tell you, I'm not a Golden State fan. Yeah. Haven't been. Yeah. You know me, I'm a LeBron guy, right? Yeah. So that makes me anti-Golden State. But on that flip side, because they're a dynasty, because they're so good, that also gives me somebody to root against.
Oh yeah, you got to have that. Like I said, it's part of sports. You need a team to root for, and you need a team to root against that your team's going up against. So same thing for me. I'm a Spurs fan, and my run with Tim and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, great dynasty. And so now we're in a rebuild, and we're gonna get Victor here coming up soon, so we can try to rebuild the dynasty through him, hopefully, as long as everything pans out with him good. So yeah, dynasties are necessary because, like you say, as a fan of the sport, it gives me something to cheer for, and then of course against somebody else that's good as well. All right, man. So let's sticking with championships and talking about different sports. So, in your opinion, who has the best championship trophy in sports?
So that's a tough call, right? I had to dive in. Yeah. I had to look into a couple things because I wanted to get my numbers right. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's FIFA World Cup. Oh, okay. I'll tell you why. Okay. This is why I had to look it up, right? All right. So since 1930, there's only been 22 opportunities to even get one of those.
True.
22 opportunities, and there's been 26 participants. But only 8 countries have actually won. Yeah. So that means only 8 countries out of 26 who are even able to play for the thing. I mean, let's be honest. There's lots of countries that play soccer.
It's the most popular sport in the world, so everybody's playing it. But like you say, to get the opportunity to play for that actual trophy, it is slim.
Yeah. And then to only get to do it every 4 years means that if you don't get an opportunity to win it, we're talking about some of the greatest soccer players from every country worldwide don't have one of those.
Yeah.
And it just feels elite.
So I had the World Cup in there, but I put the Stanley Cup as the best trophy in sports to me. Because similar to, kind of the World Cup, it's just like you said, the nostalgia of all the names that have come before that's won and all the names that are coming after. So it is how they add a name every single time someone wins. I just feel like that's amazing. Then I like the design of the trophy, being a cup. And then, like I say, I just think it's just pretty cool how they did it design-wise. But, yeah, the World Cup was right there behind me because, like you say, the limited people that had an opportunity to win that championship. So I feel like that is that more elite aspect of it.
So rare.
Yeah, so rare. So it's a rare thing to happen. And like you said, so if you go, let's say you play in your first World Cup, you don't win, and then you play in your second one. A lot of guys don't get a third or fourth opportunity to play in that World Cup because either injuries or just age just kind of push them out of there because that's a long time to wait to have opportunity to go back. So
that's it. And the U.S. doesn't have one at all.
Yeah.
So
US
you've got Brazil has 5, Italy has 4, Germany has 4, and then it just dips after that into the 2s and 1s.
Yeah. And like I tell people, let me ask you this. Do you think U.S. will ever win one?
It's not impossible, right? Because I still think that we have such great athletes here. And I think the game of soccer from the youth level has grown dramatically in the last decade. Are we there anytime soon?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I'm sure you saw Messi. He's coming to Miami. To play. In the U.S. for the first time. And I think that's huge for, the MLS and then, of course, the U.S. market when it comes to soccer. We're still behind when it comes to the level of what other countries are.
And we get them late. We get Beckham late. We get Messi late. We get them at the end, kind of like they get our NBA stars at the end. They're not giving us what they were in their prime.
Of course.
But it's more about the name. It's more about being able to grow it here.
Yeah.
And, in the next 15, 20 years, maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
And I think, too, his plan, because he's getting, I think, part ownership of the team and some other investment opportunities. So I think for him, he's like, okay, here's an opportunity at the end of my career to come over here, play a couple years, but then also bring more notoriety to the U.S. for soccer. That's not being brought from other players because, like I said, he'll be the biggest name in the whole, league.
Oh, so,
and I think that's going to be huge for the future of soccer. So,
one of my favorite things that one of the guys I listen to all the time on Fox, and he was talking about how when LeBron went to the Lakers, how that was part of his mogul stage, right? Like,
of course,
this was no longer. If he wins a ring, it's great, but it's a different stage in his career. It's kind of the same thing with Messi. Like he's coming here to grow his brand in a way that he couldn't have.
Because Messi, he's done everything accolade-wise in his career to be one of the greatest ever in the sport. So it's not about that no more for him. Like I say, it's about the mogul, the more businessman side of him. But look, same thing with LeBron. Like I said, can you look at all the movies he's been in, the Undisputed, how it's taken off now since he's been in L.A. So
hands and everything.
His hands are in so many different areas that's what it was about. Winning the bubble championship, which I've had discussions. We're not getting into that. winning the championship in LA, cool, but the point was for long-term success. Of course, also for Bronny to be able to go USC. So he's staying basically at home. So just all of what it could have done for his family. That's why he went to LA. So I agree with you on that. I think that was definitely a mogul move.
Plus, he got to join the billionaire club. So
yes, and he is on Forbes. If you ain't seen it, look it up. He is on Forbes. So, and always, man, comment down below. Let us know, who you think, what league you think has the best trophy in sports, too. If you don't agree with our 2 picks, let us know who you think. All right, let's go to the NBA real quick. So, I came up with this topic because I was, looking at a few different things I was seeing on social media, talking about different players. And what it made me come up with was, give me your top 5 toughest players to guard in the NBA, and it's not by position. Because we already know basketball is positionless. So it's about who you think is the toughest guys to guard in the NBA right now.
Currently.
If you want to go past, we can. But I would say let's go current first.
All right.
Give me your 5.
Current's tough. Current, I think Giannis and Embiid are definitely on that list.
Okay.
I think those guys are just monsters, man. They're impossible to stay in front of.
Mm-hmm.
And then good luck in the post with Embiid. So I think Jokic it's so miserable.
You can't double him. You can't double him. You can't single cover. You can't drop coverage. You can't front. I mean, there's really nothing you could do with it. He showed you through the whole playoffs, which once again, too, I wanted to congratulate Denver on winning their first ever championship. That's big, but just to watch his run in the playoffs, you just can't. There's no way to guard him.
There's no denying it because every time you watch somebody, even just kind of hint they were gonna come double, made them pay.
Yeah, and then like the pick, he does the pick and roll unlike any other big that I've seen do the pick and roll because he always know precisely what to do. Yeah. It's like, okay, if you're in drop, I know in drop I can pick and I can pop to the side. Murray's gonna find me, and I'm gonna be so far open, you're not gonna be able to recover on this 3-ball. Or if you don't drop, if you hedge it, now I'm a slice to get down to my block or to the mid game, and now I can catch it there, and I know I can get to the basket and shoot my little floater.
And they'll set the double screen at the top of the key too.
Yeah,
and
so it's like
so tough.
So the way their offense runs through him makes it even harder to guard him too. So I agree with you on that one.
My next two, Luka. I think, hear me out, for the same reason, because they spread four wide. They spread four wide.
Hold on. Wait a minute. So, Brian, it's your first time on the podcast.
Oh,
once again, bro, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. But John knows where I'm going with this. And Ty, if you're watching this, you must have texted him secretly or something. But every time we come on the podcast, Luka is brought up.
I'll be
every
honest
single
with you.
time.
I almost brought my Luka gear today. I almost wore that out here just because I knew. Man.
Oh my God. So why Luka? I'm sorry, I interrupted you while you were explaining why he's top 5. So why is he top 5 hardest to guard for you?
For me, it's the same thing, right?
Okay.
He's not afraid to kick the ball out. And no matter how slow that man looks like he's moving, no matter how poorly it looks like he's dribbling the ball, tell me he don't get his. It's annoying to watch.
Okay.
It's so hard to watch because the whole time I'm yelling at the TV to stop that man. And what are they doing? Nothing. Watching him just get buckets. Okay. It's annoying.
Okay.
And the last, and this is only because this man, you know how I feel about it, is LeBron.
Oh my God,
wait.
Brian.
He is the smartest man on the court.
Brian.
He's the smartest man on the court.
We're talking about today, Brian. I get it. 20 years. I know a lot of people think I hate LeBron. I like LeBron. Like I say, I tell people all the time, he's top 3 greatest player ever, all time. Top 3. Not number 1, but he's in the top 3. Okay. So I give him his just due.
We won't argue that right now.
But
we'll let it go.
Yeah, but right now you got him top 5 hardest to guard still right now.
29 points a game, 50% on the year. I don't know what you want me to tell you. And he wasn't even trying to be the number 1 guy this year. And he still led his team.
How do you not have Steph Curry in your top 5?
I started to go there, but I started running out of space. I mean, if you think about it, if you just went by points per game, Steph barely made the top 15 this year. SGA was my honorable mention.
Okay, I like SGA. I love SGA.
I had a hard time not having him. I love
SGA. I love him. So I'm okay with him being on the outside, being number 6 in the 5. But you got to have Steph Curry in there, man. You got to have Steph Curry.
If you wanted to swap Luka or LeBron with Steph, I'm fine with that. That's one of those, you start running into a problem at a top 5. If you had given me 10,
what about Kyrie? What about KD?
I actually don't like Kyrie like that.
You don't like Kyrie like that? Wow. Why you don't like Kyrie?
We're gonna hit Kyrie later. Though.
Yeah. Why? He's coming up. But why you don't like Kyrie though? Real quick.
It has nothing to do with a lot of his on the court. It has to do with his dependability.
Oh my God. Okay.
If the man don't show up, I can't count him on the list.
Okay.
I can't put him on the list and don't show up.
We definitely gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back because I don't like that about my boy Kyrie. Okay.
You would put him in the top 5?
Yeah. Right now, toughest to guard in the NBA right now. Of course, I got Giannis.
Okay.
I got Jokic. I got Kyrie. I got Steph Curry. And in my 5th, I would probably put I'm gonna put my boy that we about to talk about right now, Dame Lillard.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so Embiid don't make it. All right.
Nah, Embiid's not because Jokic. I like Jokic more than I like Embiid. When it comes to, because I feel like we just talked about, there is no break with Jokic. There is a break with Embiid. Because if you notice at certain moments, he becomes a little jump shot happy, which I feel like that's a downside of his game more than it is an upside of his game. His and I'm not talking about mid-range jump shot. I'm talking about the three balls. All the three ball he like to shoot, and there's always fadeaways, and there's always it's just out of control shots. Versus when he catch the ball mid post or when he catch on the block, he's the most dominant when he's doing it. If he just did that all the time, work from mid range down, then yes, he would be. You're right.
There. He forgets that he's not 6'3".
Exactly. Right. So and that's why I like Giannis better, because like Giannis does take shots. He's shooting more threes at a rate than he's ever done in his career this past year, which I don't think he's going to continue that trend, but he's comfortable enough and brave enough to take those shots. But other than that, everything's downhill. Like I'm coming to your chest.
So hard to
stop. And I know when I Euro step or I go one way, I'm too strong. You can't stop me, and I'm so athletic. I just rise up right over top of you. So that's why I said Embiid just didn't make the cut for me. So since I brought up Dame Lillard, let's go to the next topic. Do you think it's time to trade Dame Dollar from Portland? And if you think so, where should he be traded to? Or where would you like to see him traded to?
It's been time.
Wow, okay.
Dame time, it's been time.
Okay.
This doesn't have anything to do with him.
Mm-hmm.
It just has to do with Portland.
Yeah, the organization, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those organizations that's never going to make the right decision.
Yeah. I think the problem that Portland has ran into, which a lot of teams are running into, they're just comfortable with just being in the NBA.
Yeah.
They're not trying to position themselves to win a championship. They're just comfortable to be good enough to sell tickets and be average enough to be in the NBA.
Yeah.
That's what they're working on. It's kind of like the Pelicans for me. That's the same way the Pelicans are. They're not trying to build a championship team.
Oh, don't get me started.
They're not trying to build a championship team, Charlotte Hornets. They're not trying to build a championship team. As you can see, Michael Jordan. I know he's later in the episode today, but Michael Jordan selling the team out 13 years. What that tells me is that he's realized, he's seen around on the wall that he's not going to ever be able to build a championship team here.
No.
So he needs to put someone else in position that maybe can do something different. Because I know he's still going to be a minority owner of the team, so he's still going to be a part of the team. But I think he's going to have less decisions to make when it comes to the future of the team. So with Portland, that's why I say, yeah, Dame has been a uber star, and all of the money he's earned, all the accolades he received, the game he puts on the floor, the heart, the dependability, like you just talked about or just mentioned, it's there. So he's doing his part, but Portland, they're just not doing their part.
Now, this comes the hard part.
Okay. Where does he go?
I also don't think that he's still viable to be the best player on the team he goes to.
What?
Hear me out. He's coming into this season.
John, you know how I try to do. I try to let the guys that come on here, people that come on here, man, I try to ease them on the show. But Brian, he just knows how to get under my skin, man. So what do you mean, Brian? You don't think he's valuable enough to be the man on the team he goes to?
All right. If I told you to tell me when is the average age of a player's prime?
The average age, I would say.
What's the window? Give me a window.
The window, I would say probably that 26 to about 34.
26 to 34.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
the 8-year span.
Does that change based on their height, their position?
Oh yeah. The attributes, their archetype, changes that, and then also too, of course, what team they're on too, and the type of team they're on. Yeah.
So all that matters.
Yeah, that matters.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he can't go and get you buckets, because Lord knows he can.
Mm-hmm.
And on this year's team, because I looked up like a ton of stats coming into this, because I'm like, I really need to know.
Yeah.
He took a lot of shots this year.
He had to.
Right. So this year, point per game, I kind of removed that from the equation because that's the anomaly, not the norm when he has at least a co-star with him.
Mm-hmm.
But going into this season, it's 33.
Yep.
It's 33 years old.
Okay.
In 2019, he played 66 games.
Mm-hmm.
In 2020, he played 67.
Mm-hmm.
In 2021, he played 29
Mm-hmm.
injuries.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022, he played 58.
Okay.
So what I see is a pattern of he's going to keep playing less games, right? 66 games a season, you're missing 16 games minimum.
Okay.
As you get older, that number doesn't get better; it gets worse.
Yeah.
That's a
But you got to also keep in mind that them games he's missing, it was either injury or Portland just sitting him to try to preserve him for whatever little bit of run they want to try to make. It's not that he's just not available, like he just or not dependable to play.
He's been
82
mostly
games.
healthy. He has been mostly healthy. But the concept that as you get older, you're going to. I mean, Father Time is undefeated.
No, I
right?
agree.
So,
I agree because your boy LeBron going through that. He's starting to miss more games as he get older.
And as
course.
a point guard, like you can just expect, age 33, 34, 35, he's 3 years from retirement maybe.
Yeah.
Like we're talking the back end of his career now. He's right at the edge of the back end of prime into career. And usually those guys fall off quick.
Okay.
Not steadily over a 7-year period.
Okay.
So I would trade him ASAP.
Okay.
I would get what you can.
Okay.
He's currently eating up 34% of the salary cap. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking at teams that made sense.
Okay.
I like the Clippers. Wait, give me a minute to breathe. Give me a minute to breathe on it.
Okay.
This year, his salary is 45. Next year, it's 48.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be a team that can absorb it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be a team where they need a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
If you put him on a team like that and trade for Powell, Mann, and Zubac,
Okay.
that gives you 40. Throw in some picks. It's a done deal.
Okay.
Then the roster has Kawhi and PG, who, let's be honest, if one's there, the other one's not.
Yeah. That's those are guys that for the past 3-4 years, dependability is definitely limited.
Yeah, but you give them Dame.
Yeah.
Now you've got stability for the next 2 to 3 years, which I think that's the only window the Clippers have left. They need to make a big swing now.
Okay.
And look, I'm not a Clippers fan.
But I agree with you. Yeah, not Lakers, but the Clippers, they got about a 3, maybe if they're lucky 4 year to win a ring. If they don't, it's over with.
And that owner is in a weird spot where he kind of bet the farm on those two guys.
Absolutely.
He needs it to work out.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, you're resetting.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, you got to start all the way from the bottom. Yeah. Because you have to lose. Because like I said, in the next 3 to 4 years, you don't win. You got to clear house. I mean, you got to just get rid of these big contracts.
You're going to get rid of Zubac, Powell, and Mann anyway.
Yeah. You're going to get rid of them anyway, and then try to rebuild in the draft and do like what OKC's doing, do like what the San Antonio Spurs are doing. Do these other teams that are just fire sale, getting rid of everybody, letting the stars say, hey, we're not going to be able to build a team because we can't bring guys here with you. We'll see where the guys are. So okay. That kind of makes Clippers kind of makes sense to me.
And you could see PG and him working well together. Kawhi would be there when he could, make sure he's ready for the postseason. That's it.
Yeah, because then you take the pressure off of Kawhi to play, a bunch of games. You can kind of let him really rest because now Dame and PG can, take man of the ship and ride it until you get to, postseason time. Okay. Well, like I said, I kind of agree with that, but I'm leaning more towards Miami. I think it would be beautiful for him to go to Miami with Bam and Jimmy, because after watching Jimmy for these last three years, of course, bubble run, last year's run, and then this current year run, I'm just seeing him he's just so exhausted when the time counts. So having somebody like a Dame, of course, will help with the scoring. Because Jimmy, I feel like people have really failed to realize with Jimmy, because JJ Redick, I watch him a lot too, and he talks about this, is that everybody wants Jimmy to be this explosive, rate of scoring type superstar, and he's just not that. Jimmy's not a guy that's going to shoot the ball 40, 50 times, whether he needs to or not to. He's going to shoot shots that flow within the game, and he wants his teammates to get a feel and flow into the game. So guess what it does? It opens him up for drives. It opens him up for one-on-one opportunities, and it doesn't put so much of a what I like to call payload on him to have to carry everything. And that's where I think people got upset with him in this past finals. It's like, man, Jimmy, you need to shoot the ball more. It's like, well, if you watch Jimmy all year long, if you watch him to Chicago, he's never been that type of high volume shooter. He's more of scorer in my spots that I know I'm the most efficient at, which is the mid range, and then of course his driving ability, and then drawing fouls. And he just wasn't getting a lot of foul calls in the finals either, which, you know, like I say, it's the finals, so they're gonna let him play a little bit more. But I think him going to Miami, and they got enough assets that I believe with Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and Gabe Vincent that they can move to Portland, because like we just talked about, Portland's okay with just being, you know, average ball club that's got enough exciting players, because they still got the kid Sharp, who's athletic, you know, can get to the basket, can wow the crowd with that. They're just okay with just being in the NBA. They don't really care about going to the next level. So that's why I like Miami. Speaking
of teams that don't care, the Wizards are a team where they could move Beal there as well. And I'm okay. You could give me Dame or Beal in Miami for a couple of those guys, and I think it works out either way.
Yeah. I think, that was also too Bradley Beal. I see he's on the, you know, pathway of being moved out of Washington, which I think is good for him too, because Washington's another team just like, okay, we're just cool to live off of our history of being in the NBA, and that's good for us. But yeah, Bradley Beal moving to Miami would be good, because then the same thing, it takes off the heavy load of scoring for Jimmy, because we know Bradley Beal, when he's healthy, he's one of the best scorers in the league. Now defensively, he has his limits, but I think a lot of it just a will to want to play D, because I've seen Bradley Beal actually step up and play D. When him and Russell Westbrook was playing together, he played a lot better D than he did by himself.
He had to.
But I think because I gotta be one side of the coin so hard, which is score the ball, that hey, on defense, man, I can't give you all this and then gotta play 40+ minutes and gotta put
nobody does.
And I gotta put up 35, a game for us to be in the game. So no, I agree with you on that. Which I'm curious to see who's gonna come after him, because I think he can help a lot of teams, and he's kind of on the tail end on the other side of his career too. I think he's 30. I think Bradley Beal might be 31, 32.
Both these guys stayed loyal just a little too long.
Yeah. But I mean, I think for me, with these guys being lawyers, is because they're like, man, by me doing that, I'm showing you as the owner, like, look, man, I'm not trying to run this. Like he always said, I'm not trying to be part of a super team. I'm not trying to run and do what the other guys are doing. I'm trying to show you that, hey, I want to help you build a championship organization, not just a 1-year team, but an organization moving forward, and then leave your team in a better place, kind of like how LeBron did in Cleveland. I left you in a good spot. You was able to get some draft capital, once I left, and kind of start rebuilding the team, and I come back and help you win a championship because now you have some pieces. So
it sounds good in theory.
Yeah.
But it only works if you trade out, if you leave and give them something to work with. And most of these guys, especially these two, they're kind of staying past.
Yeah.
They
no, I agree with you. Dame definitely did stay too long. We talking about 10 years. Yeah, he definitely stayed too long. Most guys by that 7th, 8th year at the max, they're like, okay, it's time to move on. Yeah. It's time to move on. Okay. All right. So let me ask you a question. We just talking about guys on the tail end of their career. Is CP3 done in Phoenix? I know they've been talking about, possibly waiving him, possibly trading him with DeAndre Ayton to somewhere, possibly, send him somewhere that he can still compete for a championship. I think they're trying to do a full revamp, hiring, a Vogel. I think they're trying to do a full revamp of their team, of course, using their 2 offensive juggernauts in KD and Booker, and then trying to build, I think, more of a defensive-based team. So what do you think that leaves CP? You think he's done with them?
I definitely think he's done. I think right now they're just shopping him around to see what they can get. I don't see any way they can make it work where he stays there and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Just because his inability to be on the floor when it matters the most.
Yep.
I honestly think Chris is at a spot where he would help a contender out, kind of like a Rondo did.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Yeah,
I love him on a team to help like Rondo did. Now I think he's gonna have to pick and choose his spots. Don't play back to backs. I mean, it's gonna be his health has to be priority one.
Yeah.
Over actually being on the floor, which means you got to be on somebody who's already a contender.
Already a contender. And has another guard that can be a primary guard why are you trying to? Yeah.
Here's a short list for you.
Okay.
Again, I'm not a Clippers fan or anything, but tell me they don't need a presence of a guy who's a leader.
No, they do.
PG and Kawhi, not a leader.
Yeah. They need somebody like CP.
Adult in the room, experienced.
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, I like Milwaukee too.
I love the idea of him working with Drew, and I think he would enhance his game. Philadelphia, I think they're going to lose James Harden.
Yeah.
And when they do, that role's available. He doesn't have to do it full time.
And then it help Maxey too. It'll help Maxey become a better pro than what he already is.
I don't know if he would go to any of these places, but it just
no, I agree with you.
And then of course, let's call it what it is. You know what I'm gonna say, the Lakers.
Okay.
But again, that's another spot where like they kind of need that.
Well, like you said, I think now he 37, 38. You know, just like LeBron, he's literally on the last leg of his career. And because like I said, 2 years ago he had a chance to win a championship. I was really rooting for him, but I definitely want him to go somewhere else, like you said, because I know he don't have maybe 1, max 2 more years to give somebody something that can help them win a championship. But I agree with all those teams. I think he needs to go somewhere where he can be, like you say, a big brother, leader in the room of the men that are already competing on that high level and not be needed for so much. Like I said, he can play maybe 35, 40 games in this regular season.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Keep it simple because we got enough on in this position that we can hang on to that, hey, we just want to make the playoffs. That way when you get in the playoffs and we got us a decent, seeding, you're healthy, fully healthy, no quad, no hamstring, no ankle, no hip, no nothing. And then you can help us make that playoff run because you know how to do that.
And he can even give you 20, 25 minutes a game.
Like that's you don't have to in the playoffs. You don't need him. You don't need him to play 30. And that's where I think Phoenix and that up and down that Monty Williams were trying to play, he's just not that player no more. And he's in a time of his career where it's like you say now it's like, all right, let me give you 20, 25 minutes max so I can come in there, I can run the offense, get my little mid range, get everybody else involved, and then I come on and sit down.
Suns have a bigger problem. KD can play defense.
Yeah.
But then you're asking him to do that on both ends. Booker's defense, questionable. CP3, questionable. DeAndre Ayton beat off a first step, especially on a switch.
Yeah.
They traded away all their good players that could give them that physicality and defense. Very curious how they're going to fix that in the offseason.
Yeah, so that's why I say it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do. All right, so let's go to Jimmy Butler real quick because I've seen a lot of comments online and in other platforms, podcasts that say, and they question Jimmy's ability to be a star on a championship team. Do you think he can be the star on a championship team?
So I love this because most of my answers to some of your questions today are going to sound the same. Like I'm just hating on people because they're getting old, right? Like that's how it's going to sound today.
Okay.
But hear me out. No.
So you say no, he can't?
For the same reason that you said it earlier,
okay.
Right? He's a good 20, 22 points a game. He needs other players so he can find his comfort spots. He's not going to drag you shooting 35 shots a game to get you there. He's not going to force it. And if he doesn't have other players that can contribute in a big way, not a little way, a big way, I don't think he can get you there. Plus, this is his 12th year in the league. He's going to be 34. What's that magic number we were talking about earlier?
34, 26, 34.
Now he's on the back end. 2016, he played 76 games. Over the last 8 years after that, no more than 65.
Yeah.
So
he's had some ankle injuries,
and that's not getting better either.
Yeah.
You're talking about a quarter of the season. He's not even there, at least. So if you're looking at him playing 60 games a season, somebody's got to step in there the other 20.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be in a situation like you were this season.
Yeah.
You're going to be fighting to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then when you get there, it's an uphill battle the whole way. He needs somebody to be number one.
Yeah.
Where he can give you and be the arguably one of the strongest number twos on any team.
Yeah. And that's why I say what I've seen these last 3 years, obviously he's not a volume scorer. So is he superstar status? No. Because like I say, he can give you both sides of the ball. Of course, defensively, stout, and then offensively, he's stout. So I truly believe he can be a star on the team. I just think him being the number one superstar that carries all of it, that's where, like I said, that's where the fall off is. So like him having a Dame or him getting somebody like a Bradley Beal or getting someone else that is known for the scoring, known for that, that elite attribute, whether it be shooting, driving to the hole, ball handling, passing, orchestrating, lead, whatever it is, because we already know he can lead a team. We've seen that. He's done it for the last 3 years in Miami. He's led them every single year. But because of his style of play, it's just not able to get them over the hump, because a lot of teams, because of how he play, they double him or they have someone kind of eyeing him to keep him at bay. And because he don't do a lot of moving, his range isn't there. So he can't really make the defense move or do anything different. So, yeah, so he definitely needs to be alongside someone else that's a little bit better offensively than him. But I still think he can be like one of the strongest number twos in the league. Because I think whoever comes there, yeah, you got to say them two are going to be the best, backcourt.
Great.
Because of, and I think it's going to help him, like you said, with him missing games and also with his effectiveness in key moments of the game. Because, like I tell people, it was tough this year for them. Very tough. You talking about some, he had 2 Game 7s series. So Denver, they had a lot of rest. They didn't really play as much, and they didn't have a long road like Miami had. So I just think they got to the end just like in the bubble. You get to the end, and it's like, man, we're outmatched, outnumbered, and I think that's where he just ran into that wall. But yeah,
Hero would have helped.
Yeah, I think if they had Ty Hero, I think it would have been a better series. I still think Denver would have won, but I think they'd have won more than just one game. 100%.
He gives you points, even if he was coming off the bench.
Yeah.
He would have given him a spark.
Absolutely. All right. Speaking of James Harden, I know you just brought him up talking about him leaving Philly. That's that's what I think is going to happen. That's what a lot of people think is going to happen. So this is like a 2-part question. Number one, do you think James Harden time as a number one option for a contender is done, and do you think does he make a team a contender at all for a championship?
So I'm gonna go with. I think this year was a prime example of he's just not the number one option. Okay. I don't think he could be on a contender.
Okay.
But beyond that, I think his biggest flaw is his contract.
I think because I think he's up for like a supermax of it's like 220, 230 or something like that. 5-year 230 or something.
So much money for a guy who is not in his prime. You're not getting Rockets Harden anymore. And then on top of that, this season, perfect example, he averaged 22 points a game for the last 4 seasons in a row. So that's the same as Jimmy right now, right? And we just said Jimmy's a great number 2.
Yeah.
But the difference is you're talking about Harden's going to be 34 in his 14th season. He's only 3 points better this season per 100 possessions when he's on the floor. So the impact is
it's not
minimal.
There. Yeah, it's very minimal.
For a guy who needs to be the number one guy.
Yeah. Plus he's not getting to the line. Cause like now the way the referees call the game, they don't give him all them tic-tac fouls. So before, when he was James Harden in Houston, he was getting 20, 22 attempts at the free throw line. Now, like I said, I think he barely getting 8 attempts at the line. And
even then, he was just a regular season guy. And the biggest knock on Harden happened even when he was a 6-man in OKC.
Yeah.
And the only reason he was a 6-man in OKC was what?
Yeah.
Defense.
He
couldn't play defense. He couldn't get a stop to save his life.
Yeah.
And that cost him his job. And then when he ran out of offensive production, when they were getting to the finals, they were like, well, you can't play defense and you didn't show up when it mattered.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I agree.
So...
No, I'm with you. I think the number one option time has come and passed. I think now people got to start looking at James as he's a solid player. He can contribute to a team, but he don't need to be the focal point of the contribution of like the offense. Because I feel like Philly should have allowed Maxey more free range to be a part of that offense and let him do more of the ball handling and working with Embiid in the pick and roll and have James off ball. So now, James, guess what? You can catch and shoot, or you can catch and try to get some island play where you one-on-one with somebody to get to your side step or step back moments or drive moments. And same thing with Tobias Harris. I think that would have helped him now he's not just standing and watching the whole entire game because now, James are there dribbling, and he just don't have that first step explosiveness anymore to get by somebody and create contact and keep the contact. So
I'm gonna talk about a player that kind of fell.
Oh yeah,
Harris.
Oh yeah.
Man, I thought he was going to be so much more important to that team.
Well,
and after they added Harden,
well, I think what happened was when he left LA and came to Philly. This is when Jimmy Butler was there too as well, and it was between Jimmy and him for the big contract. I think Philly was looking at, okay, we saw him going into his prime come from Clippers because he was explosive, he could shoot the ball, he defended pretty well, and then he was reliable, dependable. And then he kind of Philly, he get the bag, and his game did fall off. But I look at the play style. They started giving the ball more to Embiid than they did when he first got there. So that kind of takes him out. He's not a ball handler, so he don't handle the ball. So that takes him out. And then you bring in James, who handles the ball a lot. So I think just what they've done move wise has taken him and kind of boxed him into only being a spot up shooter, when I think he could have been more of a 3-and-D type guy where it's like, hey, you're going to make threes, but we need you to defend and rebound on this end to help us get to the next level with Embiid. And I just think that's where they kind of did him a disservice, was bringing in Maxey, James, and a couple other offensive tendency type guys, which kind of just pushed him out the way. So now it's like, okay, what do you do with him? You can't keep him because he's like PJ Tucker at this point, minus the defense.
Yeah.
So, because now all he knows to do is just spot
more
him.
mid-range than Tucker,
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. What do you do with him? So, all right. So now the finals are over. Denver won once again. Congratulations to Denver Nuggets on winning their very first championship. Briefly, what do you think? We've already just talked about where Miami should go from here. What do you think Denver? What improvements do you think they need to make to run it back for a second year?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they have great contracts with young players, and they've got the ability to just run it back.
Yeah, I think so too.
I thought initially, I was like, what move would you make? Mm-hmm. But the reality is they're not stuck on anybody. They don't have, you don't look at Aaron Gordon and go, oh, it's a terrible contract. He's on a friendly contract. Porter, friendly contract. Like everybody's.
Murray, good contract. I mean, like I said, if Jeff Green comes back, I don't know if he comes back and plays. I think Jeff Green 40, but you're not using putting a lot of miles on him. So KCP, not a lot of miles on him. So I think Bruce Brown, and then the other kid, the young kid Christian Brown. So I mean, they got, to me, I'm with you. I was reading this question. I'm like, man, I really don't know what they need to improve on. They just need to stay healthy. And I think next year they're still a favorite, in my opinion.
Miami, if your name is not Jimmy Butler or Bam,
you got to go.
You got to go.
Yeah, you got.
I pulled it up. Plus minus over 100 possessions this season, right? Tyler Hero, Kevin Love, Kyle Lowry, Duncan, Cody Zeller, right? All pluses, but their plus of on the court versus their plus of off.
The court,
The plus of off was 3 to 4 points higher on every one of them. Cody Zeller was even worse. It was awful.
Yeah.
So the reality is, those players are just not what you can load your squad with, and not how you can back up Jimmy Butler, Bam. Like it's not enough.
No, I agree.
I agree.
Go. Yeah, I think it's a fire sale in Miami. They're good young pieces. Like I said, with Duncan, with Gabe. I like Gabe Vincent.
I do too.
Out of all of them to keep. If I'm going to keep anybody, I'd really keep him. Tyler, because like I said, Tyler's contract next year, that $30 million, they're going to start paying him. So that's going to kind of hinder the team a little bit. But like I said, you can let Tyler go, let Duncan go. Kevin Love, I like the veteran leadership, but you kind of got to let him go.
I like him. Yeah. But, I mean, you have to do something. And if you're going to get Beal or Lillard, you can let Vincent go. But I think at the end of the day, like, Hero is there mainly just for offense.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You bring offense in, you can lay his contract.
Because like I say, size-wise, I think he's 6'3", 6'4", but build-wise, he's undersized in his position. So you bring in Bradley, you bring in Dame, now you got a guard that can not only, put up the numbers offensively, but on defense, and they're not liabilities on defense.
And Robinson's a liability on defense.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
No offense, he couldn't hit a three to save his life.
Yeah, but he wasn't. I think once again, he wasn't brought in to be that guy, but once Tyler went down, he kind of had to try to step up and give them more than what he really was supposed to. So that's why I think
Game 5, that first three that he made came off the backboard, looked like he missed the whole thing and just kind of was like, "Yep, I did that."
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, like it wasn't supposed to go in. Exactly. All right, real quick, switch gears on you. Let's talk about winning a championship, right? Which would you say is tougher to win, an NBA championship or an NFL championship?
It's NFL, hands down.
NFL? Okay.
All right. So NBA, you can stack some stars and go at it, right? You need 2, maybe 3, and you're going to get an opportunity to win or at least put yourself in position.
Okay.
The NFL is different because you either play offense or defense, and because you're not affecting what's going on the field when you're not on it.
Yeah.
That waters down the stars. Now, granted, you got the Patrick Mahomes of the world. That's great. Yeah. But I sat and watched Aaron Rodgers, who is supposed to be this all-time great quarterback, and there's nothing he could do because year after year, his defense would allow so many points per game, he couldn't overcome it. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how good the team is. The NFL, there's a reason why it's so difficult to win back-to-backs. It's the reason why dynasties in the NFL are so tough. The Patriots, that's why it's such a big deal that they ran it for so long with Brady. Yeah. It's why Dallas can't get back.
Yeah, that's true. It's prime examples. Yeah, I agree. So on this one, I kind of went back and forth. I was like, well, the NBA, the amount of games you play and then the injury components of it all. But like you just said, when I started thinking about NFL, I was like, NFL is tougher because, like you said, if I'm a great quarterback, there's only so much I can do. If I go down, I put up 35, but my defense gives up 48 points. I don't play defense, And then of course I can have a great regular season, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards passing, and play my first playoff game and be done and it's over with. In the NBA, we can lose that first round. That first game was the 7-game series, but we got 6 more games, so I can recover from that. You can't recover once it's over. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers having a great MVP season, and then go in the first round of playoffs and lose. Or like last year, actually be 1 game away from the playoff and lose in the last game of the season to a team that didn't even make the playoffs. Yeah. So it's like, I agree. NFL, I think, hands down is a tougher road because what Pat Mahomes is doing with KC to come back and win another championship after what, everybody thought, losing who they lost wasn't going to be able to be the same team. He showed you, I can still lead these boys to a playoff, to another championship. So tough. So I think NFL 100%. All right, let's talk about Jokic comments. So he's been interesting this off, leading into the finals, and then of course some of his comments for the end of the season and where he really want to be. And he's basically come out and said that basketball is not a huge impact on his life or not the most important thing in his life. Do you have a problem with that? Because I obviously he loves a lot more other things, but he knows he's good at basketball, so he does basketball well, but it's not the most important thing in his life.
Oh, I had a tough time with this. All right, really? So I love ball, right? And obviously basketball has afforded him a life that some of us will never get near to having, right? So it's hard for me to expect him not to be like, this is the greatest game ever. This is the greatest moment of my life. Yeah. This is the only place I want to be. Yeah. But then I started thinking, started trying to put myself in his shoes. And I started thinking like, he has a daughter. Yep. And it's Father's Day. Yep. And it's interesting because a friend of mine recently found out they were going to have a girl. Kobe was a girl dad. Kobe even said the best thing ever is being a girl dad. Yeah. I mean, he loved it. And I started thinking like, maybe Jokic just understands something we don't. We live in this weird world where, the things that we look up to are our sports idols and trying to chase these dreams and whatever. And a certain idea of success. Yeah. He wasn't raised how we were raised. He's been playing pro ball since he was 17. So for him, this is a job. This is what I do. I'm really good at it. But maybe he just finds value the same way Kobe did, the same way a lot of us do. And in the after we get off work after 5, we're just happy to be home with our wife and kids.
Oh yeah, no, so, I haven't had a problem at all with what Jokic's been saying, because I feel like a lot of professional athletes feel that way, but they don't say it. And because of who he is and what he's become and what he's done, especially this year, and well, I mean, the last 2 years, being MVP last 2 years, but especially this year, going on that championship run, putting all the work he put in to win the championship, I 1,000% agree with him. Like I said, I sell cars too as well, but that's not who I am. There's a lot of other levels to me. Obviously, being on the podcast and the other stuff I do, coaching and all that. So there's other levels to a person than what you see him do for a job. So I love the fact that he's being brutally honest. Like, look, man, I love horses. I got a horse race back in Serbia I need to be a part of. I got my little daughter. I have a wife, so I'm a husband too as well. And I think a lot of sports guys get lost in trying to be everything the TV says I need to be versus, hey, I'm a human, so I have other things and other endeavors in my life that are important. Basketball is my 9 to 5. Yes, I get paid a lot of money to do it. Yes, I have a lot of, fame from it. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, like he said, hey, now the job is done, we can all go home now. So I can go home and spend my time that I don't get with my family that has to come all the way over here to see me a couple times a year. So I get to spend that time with him. So I like the fact that he's prioritized his life in the right way.
And not only do we work 9 to 5s, and that's not necessarily who we are.
Yeah.
We may be working those for another 30 years.
Yeah.
He's going to work this one job till he's 40, and then he's going to have 40 years of a whole nother life after that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what he's talking about now is the foundation of what that life will be like.
Exactly. Starting now, getting that ready, so when he's on his tail end of his career retiring and his daughter is older now, and then he'll be able to, really be ready for that time of that season and chapter of his life, 100%. All right, so switching gears to Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh man!
So he's recently come out, and we got two more tops after this, then we're gonna wrap it up, because I left the last two because those are the most meat and potatoes of this podcast. But Karl Anthony Towns, real quick, came out and said that when he leaves the game, people are gonna say he changed the game.
Come on, man.
So at first, I always look. I try. John knows this. I try not to laugh at professional athletes, but guys, because like I said, I like the confidence. I like what believing in yourself, and this is what I try to preach to anybody young coming up that's a basketball player or any type of sports athlete or any type of thing in life in general. You want to have confidence and you want to talk highly about yourself. But when I saw this comment and I saw him say it, I was like, Karl, come on, man. All right, so let me hear you out. You say you're going, people say you changed the game. So now I start dissecting. What has he done that's changed the game now? Nothing.
You haven't done it by now.
So I'm trying to figure out what part of your game are you talking about that people are going to say because of Karl Anthony Towns, the game was changed. Steph Curry changed the idea of three-point shooting and the way it's done. Shaquille O'Neal changed the game because of his size and his ability. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar changed the game with the sky hook, coming out with a shot that could not be defended. Magic Johnson changed. So I started naming players in my mind. I could all point to something they did. Allen Iverson, I could point to something they did that changed the game. And Karl, the NBA is full of you. A 7-foot big that wants to shoot jump shots.
Actually, NBA is full of guys better than him. They can pass better.
Yeah.
They can shoot better.
Yeah.
They win more games per season.
They're more available.
And then on top of that, they clearly have a better touch of reality of who they are and what their impact is compared to Karl Anthony Towns. This man's the second best player on his own team.
That's what I'm saying. That's Ant-Man's team.
I don't think he understands who he is, and I don't think he understands who the Timberwolves are. This is why Jimmy left, man.
Yeah.
This is why Jimmy left.
Just out of touch of reality, man.
The Timberwolves, over the last 15, 20 years, do one thing well. They get in big men, and then they lose them to other teams during their prime.
Yep.
That's what they do.
Yep.
They did it with Garnett.
Yep.
They did it with Love.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns was supposed to be the next guy.
And then they brought in Rudy to pair up with him, which I never understood that trade. It's like this is not the NBA no more where you can win a championship with two 7-footers
Nope.
on the floor. one that's strictly defense and one that's strictly offense. So like I said, I don't know what he was thinking when he came out with these comments, but it's one of those things like you just said, like, bro, you're not the number one option on your team right now. Ant-Man is the number one option, and they're gonna lose him well before they good again because they're in the place. Same thing. You're just okay with just being in the league, living off of your past, accomplishments more than what you've done right now or going to be doing in the future. All right, so last two topics we want to talk about, and I think these topics are very. We talked about it a little bit before we got on the podcast, so they have much depth to them. So I want to go into the first one. Let's talk about the PGA Tour.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna go there first. The last one we're gonna talk about Ja Morant. For everybody that's watching that, Ja Morant is definitely a big topic going on right now. But PGA Tour merge is also a good one too. So and I know they merged with Live Golf and the DP Tour as well. So my question to you is, what do you think, just first glance, of the merger?
First glance is I'm just excited that we're going to see all of the players getting to play on the tour. Just the absence of that waters it down a little bit. I mean, you start seeing some of these guys win that you've never even heard of. And you want to see the Koepkas. You want to see some of these guys play. Nobody thinks that Phil Mickelson's going to, win a whole bunch of majors at this part of his career, but we like to see him play because he's kind of the villain. He became the villain when he was the Tiger.
First, he was the first one to transition over to Live Golf.
So everybody sees him as kind of a villain, and he owns it. He owns it a little bit. He's been wearing his glasses. He's looking
the part, wearing all black. Like he definitely been looking the part. Yeah.
So I love it. Right. I want all of that. But what I hope is that they keep running both separately. I like having the option. I like watching the PGA Tour as it is, and I like seeing live events. But imagine Tiger and some of these guys playing in some of these live events as a team. It could enhance that, and it could bring viewership and an audience that's never watched golf before. Now, the whole money side of things. That's a whole nother conversation. Where the money's coming from, how people get paid. That's a whole nother topic. But I'm excited to see what happens with it.
Absolutely. So when I first heard it, I was a little taken back because PGA's Tour stance against Live Golf have been very concrete on how they felt about the organization. And then, of course, I've heard the backlash about Live Golf and where it comes from and where the money they get comes from and who these people are. So when I heard the merger, like I say, it shocked me a little bit because of what they said about them. But then I thought about it like as a capitalist country we live in, and being a business that PGA Tour are, they're looking at the future of their league too, and they need stability. And how do you get stability? You need someone that has a financial backing that can help you with that stability. So when they did it, I was like, all right, so it's obviously, like I always been told, follow the money. It's obviously some big bucks in this merger, because for you to do what you did and have your players feel betrayed and let down and felt like, hold on, we were being loyal, now you're being disloyal and dishonest with us about what you really want to do when it comes to this other league. And you go right behind us and you do a deal with them. So it's like you start looking at all the pieces of that. But then also in my research, I was like, you know what? Because people are very offended about the fact that the PGA Tour are doing deals or doing business with Saudi Arabia. I said, I'm curious. What other businesses do they do business with over here in this country? So I'll name a few. You got Bank of America. I don't know if you ever heard of them. AT&T, cell phone. So if you have AT&T, your cell phone provider, they do business with them. You got Exxon. They do business with them. Holiday Inn, do business with them. IBM, do business with them. What else we got here? Texaco Incorporated does business with them. Who else do we have that you might know? JP Morgan does business with them. Who else? General Electric does business with them.
Here's one for you. If you don't like outside countries interfering with what we'll call U.S. sports, don't be shocked when you find out one day that an owner of an NFL team, NBA team, hockey team, etc., how they make their money when they're not an owner of a team, because that they weren't poor when they got that team, right?
Absolutely.
They were all billionaires typically before they even bought a single team. So when you find out how they really make their money, don't be mad.
Nah. So I bring these other, businesses in our country up to not for no reason. Just tell you that, it's everybody doesn't see them as a bad, partnership that people are trying to make them out to be. Because I know there's been a lot of blood money talk going around. And like I say, everybody don't see them as blood money, because at the end of the day, people understand if I have a financial need and you can provide that financial need and that financial gain, it makes sense to do business with you, as long as we do the partnership the correct way. No one is being, wronged on either end of it. Then it makes sense. That's what our country's built on. Because not only do we, we deal with arms, a lot of weaponry with them, and it's a lot of business being done across the globe, with all different kind of people, different entities that people might not know about. But like I said, when it comes to golf, I get it. I understand the idea of it staying in America and not doing business with anyone else. But when you think about the business side of it, it makes sense why they did it.
Well, and I don't want to get too off topic, but the folks who your typical fan of golf doesn't always want to deal with people that aren't their own.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's a selected club and group that they want to try to stay within. And I get that. But at the end of the day, we all know that there are things in this country that are, that are brought in here that we buy, we sell, we trade every single day that are made in other countries. So we involve ourselves with everybody in the world when it comes to our everyday, what we're doing on this podcast, what we're doing, anything in life. It all involves more than just us. I would love for it just to be us, but it's not. So I just think people need to really, understand that. And then the other part of it, the golfers that turn down opportunities to be a part of LIV, I feel like that was a disservice to them, because they could have,
it's tough.
They could have put themselves in another, financial lane for their families and their future by joining this organization. But then you kind of shamed them into not joining, and then you still join them.
You're talking about the Billionaire Club earlier.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is a part of that club.
Yeah.
He could have been 2 times.
Absolutely.
Club. I mean, he could have been sitting at two
even Rory. Rory had an opportunity, and he stood strong with PGA. So I get the backlash about it, but also I think overall the future of the sport will be better because they're trying to involve themselves with LIV. I still want them to kind of branch off so you can have that kind of competitiveness between the two tours. But I understand why they're merging with them. I do get it. So it makes all the sense to me. So like I say, but comment down below, let us know what you think about the whole, PGA merger with LIV. All right, so last one we got on the plate. And John will tell you, I've talked about this young man quite a bit here on the podcast here in the last couple of months. If you don't know, Ja Morant is who I'm talking about with the Memphis Grizzlies. Upcoming superstar, potential face of the league. NBA finally came down and they landed their suspension, 25 games. Also said that there's conditions that he has to meet to even come back to the team. So that lets me know that it's 25 to start, but if once the 25 is over, if you haven't done everything you've been requested to do, haven't met all of the items that we need to be done, then you might not come back after 25. It might be longer than 25. And it's also cost him a bag by, these 25 games too, because now he's out of contention for the Supermax. So what did you think about the whole suspension? Did you think, because I know you did comment on Facebook a little bit. So that's why I wanted you to come on here and kind of elaborate a little bit more to people so they understand your opinion about it. What did you think about the 25 games?
So first of all, I think they landed right where they needed to be.
Okay.
Miles Bridges got 30 games for domestic violence.
Yeah, he did.
That actually did injure someone. Gilbert Arenas got 50 games for bringing a gun into a locker room.
Yep, to the arena.
So that's a lot more close to home and involved directly
with the NBA,
as opposed to flashing one on a video that went on Instagram. So my opinion is that they hit it right. Now, that cost him the Supermax, and it's going to cost him money in the games missed as well. So you're talking probably 60, 70 million over a course of whatever.
Of a season,
He's lucky he hasn't lost endorsements.
I haven't heard nobody come out yet, so they ready to step away from him.
Right. I mean, Nike stepped away from Kyrie awful quick.
Yeah, they did.
And he didn't flash a gun.
Yeah.
So it's a little shocking that he hasn't lost endorsements. That being said, I think it's in the NBA's best interest to make sure that a team of people are checking in with Ja to make sure that he comes back at game 26.
Okay.
Because I think it's better for the league, right? It's better that he's there.
Yeah.
It's better that he shows that he completed the steps.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be everything from self-work to community work.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have to go out, show his face, apologize a few more times.
Yeah.
I think that's hands down.
He's going to make he's going to have to join some organizations and really be the face of a march against certain behaviors. Not so much, saying like, hey, don't have a gun, because like everybody understands, he didn't break a law in any of those two moments of having a gun, but it's just like you say, the appearance of what it looks like to have a gun in a secluded situation like a strip club, and then to be in your car with your friend flashing a gun while listening to music or whatever y'all are doing. It's just the look, and everybody understands that when you're talking about being a part of a sports organization like the NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, soccer, lacrosse, it doesn't matter. In their contract, there is a certain way they want to be looked at, and if you're not upholding that image, that's where it becomes a problem. So that's what I think it boiled down to. This is like, man, we kind of gave you a slap on the wrist the first time because he was already suspended 2 or 3 games, and they told him 8 games total, so he only got suspended like 6 games from the NBA. So we already kind of gave you like, all right, Ja, we get it. You were just hanging out, having a good time. All right. And then you come back not even 3 months later and you're doing it again. So I agree with you. I think the 25 games was right on the money. I was thinking it's going to be closer to probably 40 games is what I was thinking it was going to be, to really kind of stick it to them. But they was like, hey, look, 25 minimum, as long as you do everything we tell you to do, that we have described, that we want you to do, not no more of you're going to pick the plays, you're going to pick the steps. We're telling you the steps. We're telling you what you need to do. As long as you do that, you can come back.
Unfortunately for him, he chose a profession, just like a teacher, just like a coach, just where people have to look up to you. And when you have the youth who want to emulate everything you do, this is what you've put yourself in that position. I think 25 is also the right number because it doesn't allow for a player to get a contract that I think players who are the image of the NBA, players who should be representing it at its best, at its highest, those players should be allowed that. And this prevents that. And I think it was the right move. It gave enough shock value. It hit his wallet. I don't think he even cares that much about that, honestly. But I think it's more about the image that I think it's going to hurt his feelings a little bit. But I've spent a lot of time here recently around a 9-year-old kid. And what I've learned about being around a 9-year-old boy a lot recently is that no matter whether you realize they're doing it or not, they look at every single adult and everything from whether they wash their hands before they eat to how they eat to what foods they like to
how they sit in the chair.
They emulate everything. And that's going to carry through middle school and into high school. And those kids look at social media. They see so much that these athletes and other very famous people do, and they're going to emulate that.
100%.
And so if you're flashing a gun, there's going to be a percentage of kids that's cool.
That's cool.
They think it's a good idea.
I see John Morant doing it. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's just it's so, and I get it. You know, a lot of people say he's young, and you should be able to live your life and do what you want. But like you say, when you put yourself in a profession that is on TV, that's always, you know, showing the world who you are and the moments of your life that you do things that you feel that's okay for you to do, it has impact on other people. If you don't want to have a global impact, then I feel like you shouldn't go out and try to be a part of professions that require that. So yeah, I look at the whole kids aspect, especially being a coach myself. I try to, you know, always remember that in the back of my mind. Like when I'm out doing something, would I want my kid to see it? Because I know if he sees me doing it, he's gonna think, oh, if he's doing it and he approves this, then it must be okay to be done, because he's the only one in my life I look up to and I value. So with that value that I give him, what he's doing must make sense for me to do it too. And then in return, it's like you can't really say no to him because you showing him that it's okay. So like I said, I hope, and like I've said in previous podcasts, I really hope that this time Ja can really see that, okay, I got to change what I'm doing. I got to remember what I'm a part of and what I'm trying to do in the future, the kids that's coming up behind me. And also I got to remember that my circle is important. It's dire to me. Who I have around me is important.
His circle's tough.
Yeah.
His mom got him involved with the situation at Foot Locker.
Yeah.
So that's not exactly who should be in his circle right now. His father obviously isn't guiding him how we would hope in regards to, hey, man, don't put yourself in these spots. If he was, because I get the impression his father would rather be on the sidelines looking Mr. Cool than to step up and be like, hey, man, don't mess this up for yourself.
Yeah.
Because somebody
forget me, forget your mom, forget your friends, but we're talking about your future,
generational wealth.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to mess that up. Just to look cool with your friends.
100%. I agree. And that's the unfortunate thing in this generation, is that it's more about looking cool than being uncool and doing the things the right way to, you know, kind of keep yourself out of that lane. So, man, Brian, I want to thank you, man, for being on here. You actually you did pretty good, man. We didn't argue too much. We did all right.
Not too much. Well, you didn't get to that one topic.
Yeah. So we stayed away from that. So I'm gonna have you back on here. I might do an episode just for that.
Oh.
So you come with all your notes and everything, so you can try to prove to me why that is what you feel it is, and we'll go from there. So
all right.
But as always, man, we want to thank y'all for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow us on all of our other social media platforms. Let us know down below what you thought about today's episode. And if you have any comments about the topics, please put it down below. And of course, anything you bring to me, I will try my very best to implement on future shows. We are, you know, dwindling down on season 2. We're about to go into season 3, right, John? Going to season 3. So we got a lot of big things coming in season 3. We're going to do a little bit more revamping. As y'all can see, we always like to be innovative on what we do on this podcast. So we definitely going to do our very best to change up a little bit. Got new stuff coming, of course, new interviews, new guests, more returning guests. But y'all stay tuned for season 3. We'll be coming with that soon. But until then, we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.